right, welcome back to another episode of the Caffeinated Contractor. Today I have someone that I've gotten to know pretty well over the years, mainly because she's been married to me for the last 19 and we've been together for 21 years or so. But I'm having her on, my wife Linda, because she's a real estate agent here in the Houston area and has been licensed in many other places because of the many moves that we've made as a family. She's licensed in Massachusetts, California, and Washington State, and now here in Texas. And I believe for a long while, this should be our last stop until the kids actually grow up or out of the house. But today we're going to talk about how you can prepare your home for sale, what you need to do to get it ready to list for sale. And that's something that Linda and I talk about quite a bit, mainly because we run into a lot of situations where we walk through a house and it just doesn't show very well. So anyway, Linda, welcome to the show finally.
Than's for having me. Mm-hmm. I won't say that I was disappointed that I wasn't your first guest, so we'll continue.
Well, you're number 7, I guess. I'm not sure. I can't remember how many episodes
lucky number 7. I'll take it.
There you go. We had to work out the kinks before you brought you on here. So anyway, so today we're going to talk about preparing your home for sale, something that you speak about a lot, something that you and I actually work on together because we'll go walk houses together that are on the MLS, and we, not all the time, but there's quite a few times where we walk in, they're like, gosh, do they really want to sell this house? They really didn't get it ready for it. Yeah. So, right. So yeah, anyway, you want to do a little intro on that, and then we can get into your 5 topics.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you pointed out, Texas is the 4th state I've been licensed in. I have walked numerous homes in numerous states with numerous buyers. I've gone on numerous listing appointments, just trying to help homeowners and buyers, do their thing, buy and sell real estate. Mm-hmm. So I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot, and that's why I kind of put together my guide for how to prepare your home for sale. So,
and one thing I just want to throw in there, not just have you done that for other people, but you and I have sold quite a few homes as well.
Yes.
Because of the many moves we had. So I think maybe we could probably share a few stories during our show here of our personal experience and certain disagreements that we had and the result of the decisions and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You are correct. I think we have learned our lesson more than once. Mm-hmm. So we do have those stories to share.
Yeah. So if you want to know how to get a house ready for sale, Linda's the person for that. And if you're moving a household from one far location to another, then, we've gotten pretty good at that as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you have 5 quick tips that we can hit on that will help with preparing a house for sale. So want to get into it?
Definitely. Yes. So 5 tips, and these are not in any specific order. Actually, these are in an order of driving up to a house. Mm-hmm. So years ago when I started, the most popular phrase was in a listing description was, "Honey, stop the car. This is the one." It seemed like agents were using that over and over again. And essentially it's, just trying to get the attention of buyers as they're driving by your house. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have an inviting exterior curb appeal, then no one's going to want to come inside and look to see what you got going on inside. So I would say that's really important when someone's approaching your house, driving up to your house. How does the exterior of your home look? How's the condition of your roof? How's the condition of the plants around your home, the trim, everything? Buyers are absolutely looking at that. And a lot of times, this has happened to me before. I'm running late from other appointments and my buyers, they're early. So they get to the house first, right? Mm-hmm. And then they stand there and they're just soaking in the exterior of your home. And they're able to notice all these little things that maybe you don't see as a homeowner, but they're picking up on. And they're thinking to themselves, for this price, I would expect more on the outside. Do I even want to go inside? Yep. So curb appeal is definitely something I would highlight to every homeowner.
Yeah, I would, as you're talking, I was just kind of reflecting back on our journey where, 2 of the 3 houses that we sold, let's just talk Temecula. when we were getting that house ready. So our Temecula home was new construction when we bought it. And we were there for about 5 years or so.
Right. 5 years.
And so it wasn't, it wasn't bad. We certainly needed to take care of the weeds and things like that.
Yeah.
But it was very basic. And at that time,
it was builder grade.
Yeah, it was builder grade. And at that time, the house prices have just gone up quite a bit to a price point where it would require more than builder grade type stuff. And, at that time, I can't remember what year it was, but, thought I knew a lot more than I did, but I didn't. And I know you wanted to, I don't know who it was, some like a landscape designer person. I don't know what they're called, but
yep.
what are they called? Like a consultant of some kind, right?
Right. So I found a plant broker to help us kind of revitalize
like, what the hell is that?
front.
Plant
and that was
broker,
kind of the limit that you would let me do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, just get the plants and we'll do it ourselves. And I'm like, none of us has gardening experience.
Typical spouse conversations when you get a house sold, right? So
right.
This plant broker shows up and he comes up with a plan, and I just remember just dollar signs.
Yeah.
But I didn't know then that, if you look around the neighborhood, people were moving in, they were settling in, they were doing swimming pools and custom landscape designs. And here we are with a builder grade expecting to sell our house at a certain price point.
Top dollar. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we needed to work on the front. I don't know if we did too much in the back. I think we did a little in the backyard because we had already done some work.
The patio, we did the patio cover. Mm-hmm. We extended the grass because we had no idea that the builder was only going to do partial grass in the backyard.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we fixed up the grass. We did the patio cover. Forgot about that. Extended the patio. Then we created that dog run on the side for the dogs. Right. All, just kind of small things, but at the same time, it's like, oh, okay, cool. We don't have a buyer comes in. Oh, we don't have to get a patio cover. They already have one, And the one that we got was legit. It was permitted. It was done correctly. When there's a lot of work being done in that area that was not permitted. So that's a big deal too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So that was a personal story on, a conversation that we had where all I thought about was the expense and you were looking at the return on investment. So, but yeah, curb appeal definitely helps out. And I think even in Hopkinton too, right? I mean, we had to clean that place up a little bit.
When we sold our house in Massachusetts. Yeah. We didn't have to worry about it then because when you've got like 2 feet of snow in your yard, all people see is snow. So it doesn't matter.
So things like, for example, so if you're in like an area where there's, if it's fall and you have a bunch of leaves, Eric and I spent a lot of time blowing those leaves like twice. And this is a full acre. And it was a big job. And then we had some dead plants and dead bushes that had just been killed by the winter, that we just wanted to get rid of. But yeah, there was some work there where when someone were to show up, you don't want them seeing leaves all over the place and dead bushes, because it's telling the buyer like, oh gosh, these people don't take care of their house. So what's the inside looking like? Right.
Definitely.
So, okay, cool. So exterior, point taken, make sure you take care of that.
Yes.
What else do we have?
All right. So my next item is odors. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you how many times I've walked in a house and the smell of their dog or food literally punches me in the face. Mm-hmm. It's so distracting because when you've got someone that's never seen your house and they're walking into your house and they have this overwhelming smell or scent, it's hard for them to focus on all the great features of your home, especially for anyone that's got, pet allergies. I have cat allergies. So I'll walk in a house and I'll be like, these people have a cat, so they didn't do a great job taking care of, their cat or cleaning up after. And then the same with food odors. If you enjoy cooking fish, I would just say several weeks before you want to put your house on the market, cook your fish outside, grill it outside or something, because those odors will just be so strong for any buyers coming through that they might just take a few steps in your house and be like, okay, I'm done here. We can move on.
Yep. Yeah. And I would add to that, let's say you're going to move out of your house and it's vacant. if you're in the area, visit it frequently so you can flush the toilets, run the water down the drain. Because we had in Temecula, we weren't selling the house, but we had a bathroom that was not being used often. And there was just a smell in there. And what we found out was we needed to run the shower every now and then to clear out that drain. So if you have a vacant house, make sure you're going in there. Plus, when we were in property management, we had a vacant unit in Tacoma, new construction, where I walked in. I'm like, gosh, something died in here. It wasn't that. It was just we needed to flush the toilets and run the drains and get, flush it out so that way that smell doesn't get into the house. So you don't want a potential buyer coming in and smelling that stuff for sure.
No, you don't. Yep.
Yep. All right. So, we never had a problem with odors. So, we never got that feedback that our house stunk.
Really?
But one thing
with sweaty boys and dogs, really?
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you sell your house and then you have showing after showing, and you constantly have to clean and deodorize and let the dogs out more often, and tell the kids not to make a mess. It's not fun, but it's necessary, right? If you want to get the money that you're looking for. Shoot, I was going to say something. One thing is, you mentioned fish, but there's other foods out there that have a unique smell. Like curry is a strong smell, and not everyone likes it. So if you make a lot of curry in the house, or something related that has some kind of strong smell
spices,
to it,
that's the first thing any buyer will notice. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So be careful of those, and if you're used to those smells, have someone come in and say, "Hey, do you smell anything?"
That's exactly it. I've asked people, our own friends, like, "Hey, can you smell our dog when you walk in?" Because I want to know.
That's funny. Do you smell anything? All right.
And I'm always the one that smells everything.
Yeah.
You guys you don't smell anything.
No, I got too much on my mind. I'm thinking about stuff.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm too busy. I can't smell that.
I am. I'm too busy to smell. All right. Number 3, go ahead.
So number 3, I would say this is like together: declutter and depersonalize. I mean, you want the buyer to imagine themselves living in your home. So if you have all your memorabilia, all your plaques, all your family photos on those walls, it's going to be hard for a buyer to envision themselves living in your home. So, I mean, just think about it. When you go to a model home and you see how pretty it is, they're not putting all their personal photos in there. You might see some photos of people, but it's not overwhelming. So you want to kind of just take a tip from the model home builders. Less is more. So depersonalize, get rid of those family photos, put those things away. Any plaques. I mean, I'm sure everyone's really, they want to share all their accomplishments with everyone, right? They want all their college degrees hanging up, things like that. But that's something that just can be put away. A buyer's not going to be impressed and offer you more money because you graduated from Harvard or something. So just depersonalize, put all those things away, clean up the toys. Everything should have a place so that a buyer doesn't come in and say, "Wow, they've got this mess. Clearly there's a problem with storage here," So depersonalize and declutter.
I would think that as far as the depersonalizing part of it, in that category would be the stager. And I wanted to specifically talk about this because this is something that you and I had a lot of disagreements on when we sold our houses. The first one in Temecula, you actually staged it. And
I wanted an actual company to stage it.
But I won that argument. No.
Yep, you won that argument.
Yeah,
so
but
I
then
did the best I could.
Well, you did great, but I bring this up because I know other couples have this conversation, and it's normal for once. So don't get upset if you have this conversation. Everyone has it, but it's a conversation that you need to have. But you need to involve your real estate agent because they know better, right?
Right.
When we did Temecula, you staged the house. You did a good job, but I remember thinking, she just spent that much money on pillows for the couches. What are we going to do with these pillows after we sell the house? Like, what are we going to do with them? You just wasted money, right? So, that was my mindset then. When we sold our house in Massachusetts, you put your foot down. You're like, we're getting a stager.
Yes.
And
Yes.
despite how I felt and how unhappy I was with that decision, we went forward with that. The house really looked nice.
And we sold it in the first week, and I sold it in the first weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I remember
Right.
I was
So
at
versus, you go ahead.
No, you go.
So versus when we sold our first home in California, and you didn't want to do the staging, and I had to kind of do a hodgepodge of things. I mean,
Right.
yes, it looked nice. Everything was put away. Everything looked clean, but it was so sparse because
Yeah.
I don't have the background as a stager or a designer. So I'm just thinking if I just put things away and make things look nice, then people will want to buy it, you know. But
Right.
for the amount of money we were asking, I kind of staged it like it was a rental, really, you know.
Yeah.
So then when we sold our home in Massachusetts, like you said, yes, I was really firm about let's get a stager in here. And we did that. And she worked with our existing furniture and accessories, and she added her own. And then she just moved things around from room to room. And it really, you know, our house shined.
It
So
looked
in
good.
that
Yeah.
first weekend, we had that open house. As I'm closing down and putting things away, 20 minutes after that open house was over, we had an offer. I had a verbal offer, you know. So that was a
Yep.
huge difference from selling our house in California, where we didn't prepare very well, didn't have a stager, and we had multiple price drops, right? And it
Yeah.
took us longer to sell versus Massachusetts, where we got it sold in a weekend,
Yeah.
and that stuck, and we closed in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
Yeah.
same thing when we went and bought a house in Washington. You know, even though it was new construction, I said, hey, nope, stager, you know.
Yeah.
So stager came in, did the same thing. She took our existing furniture and accessories, staged it well. We had multiple offers, sold it the first.
Yeah. In the Washington part, I kind of learned my lesson. Instead of arguing and pushing back, I just rolled my eyes and accepted it and moved on. I'm like, I'm not. No matter what I say, it's not going to change your mind. So just get it done and let's move on. So,
Right, right.
But
Because
anyway,
you probably realize that I have experience in real estate. You have experience in construction. So construction isn't going to help, you know, someone visualize their home. So
right.
that's where staging helps, you know.
And I think that's another argument that, let's just say there's okay, two people involved selling a house. Let's just say it's a husband and wife, right?
Okay.
One is we need to do what we need to do to sell this house. The other one is thinking more of the expenses, right? So let's just take that scenario. And in that scenario, they're going to have that conversation of, why do we need to spend the money to make the house look nice when they should just come in with their own imagination and picture themselves living in this house, right? But it's hard to do, right? You have to do these things to help generate that imagination, help trigger things, right? A nice smelling house, a nice decorated. Just imagine, like when you and I used to walk through model homes all the time, just because it was fun, and just walking into a model home, even if the home wasn't a nice model that we wanted to move into, just being in that environment of a nicely decorated, staged house, it was just fun, you know. And it's like, oh, I could see us moving here, and I could see us, you know, doing this and that. You know, it's easier to picture yourself in that house than if you were to just say, oh, just use your imagination.
Right. Yeah. Because that's tough for a lot of people, you know, and that's why studies have shown that vacant houses don't sell for as much as houses that have furniture and accessories in them, because people have a tough time visualizing, excuse me, a space. So you could have just a regular, you know, dining room, and people will stand there and be like, where do I put my table? Will a hutch fit here? You know, how about this? So if you can actually put that furniture in there for them, they don't have to sit there and figure out, oh, would this fit? What would this look like with furniture in it?
Right. Or if you have an odd space in your house that, you know, if it's left open, a potential buyer would walk in like, gosh, what would we do in here? But if you have a creative person and creates a nice little environment in that space, then they're like, oh, wow, I like what they did here, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, there's benefits to it. It took a couple home sales to for me to come around on that. So, but I really think it's a good idea to do that to help people see themselves in the house.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, when I think about it, if we had done that initially with our home in California, we probably would not have had to drop it $25,000.
Oh, so you're blaming me for the $25,000.
No,
That's what you're doing in front of everybody.
I'm simply saying, had me known, had me known, I was new in real estate at that time. So I was just like, yeah, you're right. We don't have to do that. But had we known, trying to get the amount that you want, your house has to look like that price point. You can't sell $1 million home if you're making it look like it's just a rental.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a card table for the dining room table, that doesn't work.
Yes, I know. I've had people say, well, there's a bed in there so people can visualize it's a bedroom. Like, they sure can. But right now it just looks like it's, someone threw it together and you're just having a guess that's unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we can go on and on with that, but let's move on to the next one.
All right. So the next one I would have to say, make repairs. So even those minor repairs, we've got a broken shutter in one of our rooms, So even just something as simple as a broken shutter to fix, I would say go ahead and fix it before you list your house, because the last thing someone wants to hear is, that's an easy fix. Because in a buyer's mind is, if it was easy, you would have done it.
Right.
But clearly it's not. It's not just a matter of fixing it. It's a matter of finding someone who's trustworthy to come over, and finding someone who has the time, the skill to do it. Right. So don't ever think that your repair is easy and it's easy to fix, or painting's another one, Oh, I don't have to paint over that. That's easy. They could do it.
Yeah.
If it's easy, you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like an unpainted wall with nails in the wall still, you know, it just looks like you don't care. Right.
Right.
And, but if let's say you have to keep the house vacant for whatever reason, but you clean the carpets, you take out the nails in the walls, you paint it, you take out, the old ugly wallpaper, and, replace any light bulbs that are not working. Just those things, those small things, like, okay, they do care. Like, the buyer would come in and say, okay, at least they care enough to change light bulbs, or they clean the carpet. That's nice, right? I mean, it's not perfect, but it's something. But if you leave those undone, you're not the house is going to sit on the market for a while, unless it's like an extremely hot market, but you're not going to get what you're looking for. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I've been in one house and the buyer actually opened a cabinet and it fell off in her hand. And when I told the listing agent that, we weren't going to offer as much, and I kind of mentioned to her some of the things, she said, well, those are easy fixes. Your buyer should be able to do that. Okay. That's not going to happen. If it's so easy, then you can do it, or your homeowner can do it.
Yeah. Even like what you were saying earlier, new construction, Temecula was 5 years, so there was enough time there to do some wear and tear on that. So there was some stuff that we needed to fix. Washington, we were there not even a year, but there were still things that we needed to, I can't remember what it was, but I know there was a list of things that we needed to get done to get it ready to sell.
We had like a door latch that wasn't working correctly, that we had the builder had to come out and fix. Minor things like that, because it's like, it should be, for the price that someone's paying, they're expecting everything to work and function as it should.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then Hopkinton one, Massachusetts, that was an old house, really old. 70s, old enough for us, but that required more work. And I remember tearing up the ceiling in the shower in our bathroom, and doing the drywall in there and sanding it, and I wasn't having fun with that, but I did listen to a lot of podcasts while I was doing it, so that was a good part. And then I painted our room, and then it just got too much. There's so much that needed to be done. We had to bring in I forgot his name. And he came in and he spent several days working on it. We got some stuff done on the outside as well, but they needed to be done because there was all like small little things that, like, gosh, I don't want a buyer come in and seeing this, right?
Right. Right.
But yeah, those were necessary for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in the buyer's mind, they're thinking something so simple they couldn't fix. I wonder what else
Exactly.
is broken or they didn't take care of.
And they're going to start looking at things with a critical
Right.
eye of like, I wonder what's behind that. How come
Yes.
this door doesn't open? What are they trying to hide? You know?
Yeah.
And so if the buyer is thinking that as they walk through your house, the price point is getting lower and lower and lower.
Exactly. Exactly. They're dropping that in their mind. They're seeing dollar signs and they're taking that away from the list price. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, cool. So that's making necessary repairs. What's our final step?
So our final one is do the right renovations. Do the right renovations. I've had people ask me like, what if I added this? This door is broken. I want to replace it. What kind of door should I replace it with? Simple things like that. But the reality is, you can do all those repairs, but just have that mindset of, okay, what's going to create value in a buyer's mind that they would want to offer this amount, and what's actually going to create value where it would increase the appraisal value of your home, which is important too, especially if you have got buyers that are financing and they have to have that appraisal come in at that price they're offering. So those things you have to keep in mind, like what's going to give you your biggest bang for your buck to not only attract buyers, but also get that value up with that appraiser.
So let me know what you think of this. So let's just say someone's selling a house built in, let's say, the 80s, early 90s, and they want to list their house. My thought is they have their agent look on the MLS to see what has sold lately and look to see if those kitchens and bathrooms have been updated.
Right.
And if so, then they follow suit, because if they want that same price point, they're going to have to look like for like, right? Not an outdated kitchen expecting an updated sale price.
Right. Because that's what an appraiser is going to do too. So even though people are like, well, I'm not selling my home to an appraiser is going to come into your house regardless if that buyer is financing. So yes, it's important. And that's what they're going to do too, is they're going to look in the MLS. They're going to look at recently sold in the area, and they're going to see what updates or upgrades those houses had for why they sold that high.
Right. What are your thoughts on, let's just say the roof is 20 years old and it's about time to be replaced. Do they do that before they sell it, or what?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because because you might get a quote for $25,000 and the buyer's going to say it's going to cost $50,000 and I want it taken off the price of the house,
Right.
So
Right.
I would just say, get it done. There are roofers, there are companies out there that will say, hey, we'll replace your roof for you and then you can pay us at closing. So it just depends.
Not a lot, but there's some out there that will do that.
There's some. Yep.
But if you do that, you might have to pay a little extra too. So just be careful. Look at those prices.
Right.
And then if you get, so for example, like a roof, don't just put shingles on top of old shingles. Actually get your roof replaced. You're putting new product on top of old problems. And as time goes on, those old problems will resurface. So don't do that. That's a horrible way of replacing your roof.
And I'm sure you've seen, like, when you go out to look at jobs, you've seen layers upon layers of old shingles. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't understand it, but it's done, and people try to save money that way. But I don't like that. I just don't. One thing that we did in Massachusetts was we had a very old oil furnace in our basement. And you had found that there was a natural gas line on the street in front of us that we could tie into.
Right.
And I can't remember, didn't you find some program where, didn't they pay for it or something like that? I forgot.
Yeah, it was a Mass Save program. So what happened was that if your house qualified, then they would give you money to have, so you can convert your old oil boiler to a gas one. So I followed suit, applied for that program. We got approved, and we only paid $1,000 down. And then when the city came to inspect that everything was okay, we got that $1,000 back.
Right. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
And we got the gas line that came in, which helped us out with our boiler. I
Yeah.
don't think we used gas for anything else, but I mean, it opened up the possibility because we could have gone gas dryer, gas
Right.
range, all that stuff,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
ended up not doing that.
Right.
But provided that option though for the buyer,
Exactly.
and the boiler that we got was amazing. I mean, that was like a work of art down in the
Yeah.
basement, and
People would come to our basement and be like, wow, your
yeah,
boiler looks awesome.
yeah.
And
People
we
would come over
thank
there.
Belly Plumbing for that in Massachusetts.
Yeah, Chris Belly did amazing work. We'd have
Yeah.
people over and say, "Hey, have you ever seen a really nice boiler?" We'd take them a tour to the basement. Check this thing out.
Right.
And what else did we do? Oh, so you brought up a good point. Like these. So in Massachusetts, they had the Mass Save, right? So we did that
Right.
with the gas, but we also did that with our air conditioning.
Yes.
So we got
Yep.
air conditioning installed in that house, which was
Mhm.
a bonus for us because we were able to enjoy it while we lived there,
Yeah.
and it was a selling point for the buyers. So look out for
Absolutely.
programs like that. Take advantage of them.
Mhm.
Take advantage of them while you're living in them. That way you can enjoy it, and then it's a selling point later on when you sell the house.
Exactly. Because for the air conditioning, we just had to pay for that loan at closing.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So it was nice. Like you said, we got to enjoy it and then we paid for it at closing.
Yeah. So if you are actually in the Massachusetts area, look up David Sampaio. He was on episode 1, and he can hook you up with all that stuff. He can hold your hand, and he can actually do all the paperwork for you. And just watch that episode. He could do a lot for you, hook you up. So
Yeah.
that's only if you're Massachusetts, though. What else? Let's see here. Let's say somebody says, "Oh, I want to invest in a man cave before I sell my house." Will there be a return on investment on that?
No, no, they won't be.
Yeah.
Actually, sometimes some homes are so custom that it turns off a lot of buyers, and then it's
Yep.
difficult for an appraiser to give any value to it because they can't find it anywhere else in any other sold listings, right?
Right.
So sometimes when you're doing those really specific customizations, you just have to keep in mind that later on down the road, when you're going to go sell, that could cause an issue with, attracting potential buyers or getting the value you want.
Yep, exactly. And whatever work you do, if it requires a permit, get it permitted because that's going to hold you
Yes.
up too.
Yes. Even if you're an investor and you're just like, I don't need a permit, I know what I'm doing. Guess what? The person you sell it to, their lender might want to see all the permits. Because if the tax records are showing that it's only 4 bedrooms and you're selling it as a 5th bedroom, the lender could come back and say, is this 5th bedroom permitted? Where's that at?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So make sure it's all legit. It reflects in the records. It's permitted. Tax records are up to date for bedrooms and whatnot, just so that way you don't run into issues when you go through the escrow period.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Well, those are the 5 tips to prepare your home for sale. I know you got a booklet that you have that you can offer people on your website.
Yep.
An ebook website should be live here in the next couple of days. But what else? How can people contact you and all that good stuff?
Sure. So they can reach out to me on Facebook. I am Linda Tighe Real Estate, or on Instagram. I changed it to Linda Tighe Real Estate so people could find me easily. Or they could call me at 832-422-8436. And my email is linda@blairrg. So that's BLAIRRG.com.
And you operate in what areas?
So mainly in the Cypress area. Cypress, anywhere around Houston, those areas.
Yeah. If somebody wants to buy a house or whatever in Washington or any of these other states, can they still contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I definitely have a large referral base in those states as well.
Okay, cool. And then your website will be what?
It will be lindatigherealestate.com.
Yeah. So by the time this is published and sent out, we should have that website live and ready to go. Thanks to Trevor Mock and Carrot Sites. They've been hooking us up and teaching us how to do websites. So, okay. Well, anything else before we close up?
No, I just, thanks for letting me be number 7.
No problem. All right. I'm sure we'll have you on a lot more as time goes on. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. It's Chris with the Caffeinated Contractor and my wife, Linda. Thank you for watching today's show, and hopefully you got some value out of it. Please make sure you subscribe and follow whatever the device is nowadays. Follow, subscribe, and whatnot. And then share this also with your network of people too, because this is some good information for anyone who wants to sell their house. And especially if it's a couple who are having those discussions about, and disagreeing on certain things. I think this episode might help because Linda and I were able to talk through that about some of the disagreements that we had and how we worked through that and some lessons that we learned from it. So certainly share that with them. All right. Cool. Well, thank you very much. And we'll see you at the next episode.
All right. Thanks.